Tom wiped sweat from his brow as he finished checking the corn fields. The summer had been hot, but the crops were growing well on his small farm outside of Green Valley. He looked up at the clear blue sky and smiled, proud of the work he had done. That was when he noticed it, a strange dark spot growing larger above him. At first, he thought it was a storm cloud, but it moved too fast and had sharp edges that no cloud could have. The spot grew until it blocked the sun, casting a shadow over the entire valley. Tom's dog, Rex, began to bark wildly. "What is that thing?" Tom whispered to himself, his heart racing. The answer came moments later. Smaller objects dropped from the massive ship, falling toward the town like deadly rain. Green Valley, the only home Tom had ever known, erupted in flames as the objects hit. Explosions rocked the ground beneath his feet. Tom ran toward his truck, his mind racing. His sister worked in town at the general store. His parents lived just 3 miles down the road. He had to find them, to make sure they were safe. As he drove toward town, more ships appeared in the sky. They weren't like anything humans had built, they moved in ways that seemed impossible, turning at sharp angles and hovering silently. Tom gripped the steering wheel tighter, knuckles turning white. The road into Green Valley was blocked by burning cars. People ran in every direction, screaming. Tom abandoned his truck and continued on foot, pushing against the crowd fleeing the town. "Has anyone seen my sister? Jane Harris?" he asked again and again, but no one stopped to answer. A tall figure stepped out from between 2 buildings. It wasn't human. It stood at least 8 feet tall, with gray skin that seemed to shift and change color like liquid metal. Its eyes were black holes in its face. It raised a device in its hand, pointing it at a group of people trying to hide. Tom ducked behind a car as bright light flashed from the device. When he looked again, the people were gone, not dead, not injured, but completely erased. There wasn't even dust left behind. "They're erasing us," a voice said beside him. Tom turned to see Mike, his childhood friend who worked at the town's small research lab. His face was covered in ash, and blood dripped from a cut on his forehead. "These things, we're calling them shadows, they've hit major cities all over the world. They're not just killing people, Tom. They're removing all traces that we ever existed." "Why?" Tom asked, his voice breaking. "What did we do to them?" "Nothing. That's the point." Dr. Lisa from the lab managed to translate some of their communications. "They think we're too dangerous to be allowed to live. Our creativity, our ability to adapt and overcome, they see us as a threat to the galaxy." Mike pointed to a building at the edge of town. "Lisa and a few others are hiding in the old warehouse. She found something, I don't understand it completely, but she says it might help us escape." Tom followed Mike through back alleys, avoiding the main streets where shadows walked among the ruins of Green Valley. They reached the warehouse and knocked on the door in a special pattern. It opened just enough to let them slip inside. Lisa stood in the center of the room, surrounded by computers and strange equipment. 10 other survivors huddled nearby, faces pale with fear. "Tom," Lisa said, nodding to him. "Good, we need strong hands." She pointed to a tarp covering something massive in the corner of the warehouse. "Help us uncover it." Tom and Mike pulled away the tarp to reveal a small ship, unlike any human craft. It had the same shifting metal skin as the shadows, but its shape was different, more rounded, almost like a seed. "I've been studying it for months," Lisa explained. "It crashed in the woods last year. I think I can make it work." "You want us to fly in this thing?" Tom asked, touching its cool surface cautiously. "It's our only chance," Lisa replied. "The shadows are setting up energy fields around the planet. Soon, nothing will get in or out. This ship is our ticket to survival." Through the warehouse windows, Tom could see more shadow ships filling the sky. In the distance, a strange shimmer began to form, like heat rising from hot pavement, but covering the horizon. "We don't have much time," he said, looking at the frightened faces around him. He thought of his sister, his parents, all the people he couldn't save. "Let's go." As the strange alien ship rose shakily into the air with the survivors packed inside, Tom looked down at what remained of Green Valley. The shadows had tried to erase humanity from existence. But as long as even a few humans survived, there was hope. They broke through the atmosphere just as the energy field closed behind them. Earth, blue and beautiful, became small in the viewport. And somewhere out among the stars lay humanity's future, if they could survive long enough to claim it. 30 days had passed since Earth disappeared behind them. Tom stood at the viewport of the alien ship they now called Hope, watching the stars streak by. The vessel moved faster than anything humans had ever built, yet Tom felt like they were standing still, adrift in an ocean too vast to comprehend. "Still brooding?" Mike asked, joining him at the window. "Thinking," Tom corrected. "About everyone we left behind." The ship carried 23 humans, all that remained of Green Valley as far as they knew. In the month since their escape, Lisa had managed to decipher more of the ship's controls and communications system. What they learned was both terrifying and puzzling. "We're picking up a signal," Lisa called from the control room. It's human." Tom and Mike rushed to join her. The others gathered around as Lisa adjusted the alien technology. "This is Captain Bell of the USS Armstrong. If anyone can hear this, we've escaped Earth's blockade with 37 civilians. Resources running low. Seeking any human survivors." A military ship had escaped. They weren't alone. "Can we answer them?" Tom asked. Lisa nodded, her fingers dancing across the alien interface. "Channel open. Captain Bell, this is Tom Harris from Green Valley. We're aboard an alien vessel with 22 other survivors. We can rendezvous with you." 2 days later, the strange meeting took place in the emptiness of space, the sleek alien craft alongside the bulky human shuttle. Captain Bell, a stern woman with gray-streaked hair, led her group aboard the Hope. "We've picked up signals from 6 other human vessels," she explained during their first shared meal. The shadows didn't account for human ingenuity. Some escaped in experimental spacecraft, others in repurposed alien technology like yourselves. "How many of us made it out?" asked Emma, a school teacher who had been visiting the research lab when the attack began. "Thousands, perhaps," Bell replied. "Not millions. But enough." Over the next weeks, they located 3 more ships carrying human survivors. Their little fleet grew, as did their understanding of what had happened. "The shadows fear us," Lisa explained during a council meeting in Hope's cargo bay. "I've translated more of their communications. They've been watching Earth for centuries. They believe human creativity and adaptability make us dangerous. They've erased other species before when they felt threatened. But they didn't destroy Earth," Tom pointed out. "They put it under some kind of barrier. A time dilation field," Lisa said. "Inside, time moves differently. They're studying us, trying to understand what makes humans different. They want to eliminate the threat without losing the knowledge." The fleet continued its journey, following coordinates from Captain Bell to a star system far from Earth. They found an uninhabited planet with breathable air and liquid water, a miracle they couldn't have hoped for. "We're calling it New Hope," Bell announced as the first temporary shelters were erected on the planet's surface. "It's not Earth, but it's ours." Tom helped establish the perimeter defenses around their settlement. Every day, more human ships arrived, guided by the signals they broadcast carefully to avoid detection by the shadows. 3 months after landing, a scout ship returned with impossible news. "Earth still exists," the pilot reported to the stunned council. "The barrier remains, but our instruments detected billions of life signs inside. Our people are alive, just trapped in a bubble where time barely moves. That night, Tom stood on a hill overlooking the growing settlement of New Hope. Lights twinkled in the darkness as humans built their new home. They had escaped extinction, but Tom knew this was just the beginning. "We'll find a way back," he promised the distant stars. "And when we do, the shadows will learn why they were right to fear us." 10 years, Tom whispered, looking out over the colony of New Hope from the observation tower. What had started as a cluster of emergency shelters had grown into a thriving settlement of nearly 40,000 humans, survivors from all corners of Earth who had escaped the shadow invasion. The morning sun cast long shadows across fields of alien crops adapted for human consumption. Children born on this new world played in the streets, knowing Earth only from stories told by their parents. "Ready for the mission?" Lisa asked, joining him on the platform. The years had added streaks of gray to her hair, but her eyes still held the same determination. "As ready as I'll ever be," Tom replied. "The signal is still active?" Lisa nodded. "Pulsing every 12 hours from the fourth planet in the Corvus system. It's not shadow technology, it's something else entirely." 3 hours later, Tom stood on the bridge of the Defiance, their most advanced ship built from a combination of salvaged Earth technology and reverse-engineered shadow systems. Captain Bell had trained a new generation of pilots and crew, turning refugees into a skilled space force. "Course laid in," announced the navigator, a young woman born on Earth but raised on New Hope. "Jump in 3, 2, 1. The stars blurred as the Defiance entered faster-than-light travel. When they emerged, a rust-colored planet hung before them. "Scans show artificial structures on the surface," reported Mike, now chief of reconnaissance. "They're ancient, at least 10,000 years old." The landing party, protected by environmental suits, entered the largest structure, a dome half buried in red sand. Inside, they found a vast chamber filled with technology unlike anything they had seen before. "These weren't made by the shadows," Lisa said, examining glowing symbols on a central pillar. "This belonged to a race called the Builders." Tom approached a pedestal in the center of the room. As his hand passed over it, a hologram appeared, a star map showing hundreds of worlds. "It's some kind of archive," Lisa gasped, working to translate the flowing script. "The Builders were systematically eliminated by the shadows, just like they tried to do to us. But they left behind knowledge. Weapons. Technology." Tom stared at the holographic display as it shifted to show a device of immense power. "They had a way to fight back," he said quietly. "And now, so do we." The war room fell silent as Tom finished presenting the Builder technology they had discovered. 3 months had passed since their return from the Corvus system, and the engineers of New Hope had worked tirelessly to understand the ancient knowledge. "We can enhance our ships with this Builder shield technology," Tom explained, pointing to the holographic display. "The shadows won't be able to track us. We can strike and disappear before they know what hit them." Captain Bell leaned forward, her weathered face serious. "You're suggesting we attack the shadows directly? After hiding for 10 years? "Not hiding," Tom corrected. "Surviving. Growing stronger. Now it's time to fight back." The council voted unanimously to support the plan. Within weeks, 5 ships had been fitted with Builder technology, a blend of advanced energy shields and cloaking systems that bent light around the vessels, making them nearly invisible. Tom led the first raid against a shadow outpost on a small moon orbiting a gas giant. Their ships appeared suddenly from the darkness of space, weapons firing with precision at the base's power core. "No shadow signals detected," Mike reported from his station. "Their communications are down." The raid was over in minutes. The outpost lay in ruins, and the human ships vanished back into the void without losing a single crew member. News of the victory spread through New Hope like wildfire. More colonies had been established on distant worlds, connected by a network of hyperspace relays built using builder designs. The once scattered survivors were becoming a united force. "The shadows are searching for us," Lisa reported during an emergency meeting 2 months later. "They've realized we're not just hiding, we're fighting back." "Good," Tom said, surprising the council. "Let them search. Each attack shows other species that the shadows can be defeated." He was right. A merchant vessel from a race called the Travelers made contact the following week, seeking the humans who dared to challenge the shadows. They brought news that other species, long oppressed by shadow rule, were watching with growing hope. The resistance was no longer just human. It was becoming galactic. "The shadows have called for reinforcements," Tom told his crew as they prepared for another raid. "They're afraid. And they should be." Tom stood before the gathered representatives of 7 alien species aboard the station they called Unity. Built in the shadow of an asteroid field for secrecy, it served as neutral ground for this historic meeting. "The shadows have erased entire civilizations before us," Tom said, his voice carrying across the chamber. "They tried to erase humanity. They've oppressed your peoples for generations. Alone, we can fight small battles. Together, we might win the war." The Travelers, a species of tall, four-armed traders whose ships connected distant star systems, were the first to pledge support. "Your weapons damaged what we thought was untouchable," their leader said. "We offer our network of hyperspace routes and supply chains." The Menders, a race of scientists with translucent skin that revealed their 3 hearts, stepped forward next. "We have hidden our medical technology from the shadows for centuries," their representative announced. "We will heal your wounded and enhance your fighters." One by one, the other species joined what would become known as the Alliance. Each brought unique abilities and technologies that complemented human adaptability and the builder weapons. Back on New Hope, Lisa worked with a team of alien scientists to complete the final phase of the builder weapon. The device was no larger than a small car but contained power that could disrupt shadow technology across an entire system. "It works by targeting the specific frequency their ships use for power distribution," Lisa explained to Tom. "One activation could disable an entire fleet." The first true test came 3 weeks later when Shadow forces discovered one of the smaller human colonies. The Alliance fleet arrived just as the attack began. Tom commanded from the bridge of the Defiance, now the flagship of the human forces. "All ships, engage builder shields," he ordered as they dropped out of hyperspace. "Weapon status?" "Builder disruptor at full charge," Mike replied from the weapons station. The shadow ships, sleek and menacing, turned to face the new threat. Their weapons charged, ready to erase another world. "Now," Tom said quietly. The builder device activated, sending invisible waves across space. The shadow fleet didn't explode or crash. Their ship simply stopped, hanging motionless among the stars. The battle was over before it began. News of the victory spread faster than any ship could travel. More species reached out to join the Alliance. The shadows, for the first time in their long history, were retreating. 15 years after the fall of Green Valley, the Alliance fleet gathered at the edge of the Sol system. Over 300 ships from 24 species formed the largest armada ever assembled in the galaxy. At its center was the Defiance, now rebuilt and enhanced with the best technology from every Alliance member. Tom stood on the bridge, looking at the tactical display showing Earth surrounded by the shadow barrier. His hair had grayed, and lines creased his face, but his eyes burned with the same determination that had kept humanity alive. "All these years," Mike said, standing beside his old friend. "We're finally going home." Lisa entered the bridge, followed by representatives from the Alliance Leadership Council. "The enhanced builder device is ready," she reported. "If my calculations are correct, it should disrupt the time dilation field long enough for our forces to break through. And the people inside? Tom asked the question that had haunted him for years. Time has barely passed for them, Lisa assured him. What's been 15 years for us might be only days for Earth. Tom addressed the command crew one last time before battle. Today we free our homeworld. Today we show the shadows that trying to erase humanity was their greatest mistake. The fleet moved forward as one, approaching the shimmering barrier that had kept Earth isolated for so long. Shadow warships emerged from hidden positions around the system, their weapons charging. They expected us, Captain Bell noted grimly from her position at Tactical. Now in her 70s, she had refused to stay behind. But they didn't expect this, Tom replied. All ships, activate builder shields. Launch the disruption device. The battle erupted across space. Alliance ships engaged the shadow forces while a small team led by Mike delivered the builder device to the edge of the barrier. Device is in position, Mike's voice crackled through the comm, activating now. A pulse of energy spread across the barrier. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, like ice cracking in spring, the shimmering field began to fragment. It's working! Lisa exclaimed. The barrier is failing. Alliance ships pushed through the gaps, Earth's blue surface visible beyond. The Shadow Fleet, caught between attackers from both sides, began to fall. From the planet's surface, signals appeared, Earth's defenders, fighting back after their long imprisonment. Tom watched as the barrier collapsed completely. We're coming home, he whispered. 1 year after Earth's liberation, representatives from over 50 species gathered in the rebuilt United Nations headquarters in New York. The shadow threat remained, but their forces had been driven back to their home system on the far side of the galaxy. Tom stood at the window of his office overlooking the city. New buildings rose beside the old, a blend of Earth architecture and alien designs. The scars of invasion were healing, just as humanity had healed and grown stronger during its years among the stars. The Council is ready, Lisa said, entering the room. Now the head of the Alliance Science Division, she had led the team that fully decoded the Builder archives. Is the new device tested? Tom asked. Lisa nodded. It doesn't just disable shadow technology, it converts it. Their weapons, their ships, even their communication systems will be transformed to serve the Alliance. The final assault plan was bold. Instead of destroying the shadows, the Alliance would force their surrender by removing their technological advantage. It was a more merciful approach than the shadows had shown to countless species they had erased from existence. 3 days later, Tom stood on the bridge of the Defiance as the Alliance fleet emerged from hyperspace above the Shadow homeworld. A planet of shifting colors surrounded by defensive platforms and thousands of warships. They've concentrated everything they have to defend their home, Mike observed. Just as we predicted. All ships, stand ready, Tom ordered. Begin transmission. The message was simple, surrender or face the consequences. The shadows responded with a barrage of weapons fire that dissipated harmlessly against the builder shields. They've made their choice, Tom said quietly. Activate the conversion device. From the center of the Alliance fleet, a wave of energy expanded outward. As it touched each shadow ship, the vessels transformed, their weapons powering down, their hulls changing from threatening black to neutral gray. On the planet below, shadow cities underwent the same transformation. Their entire civilization, built on conquest and erasure, was being rewritten in an instant. They're hailing us, Lisa reported, surprised. They surrender. The war ended not with the destruction of an enemy, but with their complete technological disarmament. The species that had tried to erase humanity now faced a future where they would have to coexist peacefully with their former prey. 1 month later, the Galactic Council was formed with Earth at its center. Humanity, once nearly erased from existence, now helped govern the very universe their enemies had ruled. Tom, older and wiser, looked out at the stars from Unity Station, amazed at how far they had come. They tried to erase us, he said to himself with a small smile. Now we own the universe.